Hi, I'm Elkie Holland from Prospectus IT Recruitment, and I've been joined today by David Cooper, Technical Lead from BlueFinity. Thank you for joining me.
You're very welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Today I was hoping we could talk a little bit more about Evoke.
Yeah, great.
But from a developer's perspective.
Right, yes.
Okay. So what's the process a developer would go through using Evoke?
Yeah. Well, three main activities really in using the product. There's using the designer, there's running the generator that picks up those designs and creates Visual Studio content, and then the third phase is really working inside Visual Studio, adding to and augmenting the generated code that Evoke has produced.
Okay, can we go into those a little bit deeper? So
Yeah,
in the
sure.
design stage, what would a developer actually do?
The designer is it's a hosted service. So we operate a hosted service using Microsoft Azure, and so you use the designer inside the browser, the desktop browser, and you create definitions of your data model, your view model that feeds the UI with data. You define your menuing system and also the page screen UI of the application itself.
Okay, the second stage you said was generator stage.
The generator, yep.
Tell me a bit about that.
The generator is different to the designer in the sense that it's a locally installed Windows application, and it accesses the data that the designer has stored within Azure, and it uses it to generate Visual Studio projects. And those Visual Studio projects are standard Visual Studio project templates that the user can then go into Visual Studio and add and augment the content that's been generated.
Okay, the third stage is the Visual Studio stage.
It is, yeah. So because we create just standard Visual Studio content, it means that developers who know Visual Studio can just pick up the generated code and add third-party components, libraries, controls, whatever they want to the generated code. And the generated code has been produced in such a way that if you then rerun the generator, it won't step on your custom bits that you've added.
Okay. There are different versions of Visual Studio. Does it work with all of them, or?
It does, yes. It works with both the professional and enterprise editions of Visual Studio, but it also works with the express versions of Visual Studio. And what we recommend to people is that they use the web version of the express Visual Studio releases.
Okay. Now, I mean, this sounds lovely, 3 stages, but always the big question, what about the pricing? Sorry.
Cost, yeah, how much?
Cost, how much? Let's get down to it.
There's two main aspects to the pricing. The designer is licensed on a subscription basis. So there's a subscription that you pay yearly that allows you to use the designer and use the generator. When you create your app and deploy it, there's a cost then associated down at the database connectivity level within your application. So the runtime licensing is not based on seats or the size of population or anything like that. What we try to do is come up with a model that's really competitive and reduces the cost for deployment. And so it's based on the concurrent database connections that the application is using at any one time.
So it's usage rather than the masses.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right, and that keeps the cost lower.
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. So 3 stages, and you've looked at the pricing to keep it very competitive.
Yeah, we think so.
Okay. Lovely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.